As anyone who watched the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden could see, it was clear from the get-go that the gloves were off.
Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe.
The words disaster, train wreck, and hot mess could all be used to describe what happened at the debate, which was roundly agreed upon by pundits as one of the worst presidential debates in modern memory.
I'm just going to say it like it is. That was a show.
One of the reasons why the debate was so criticized had to do with how combative it was, with personal snipes and shouting matches taking the place of coherent policy discussion. As life coach and relationship expert Nicole Moore read the candidates' tone and body language, she says the two of them were at each other's throats like kids fighting in a schoolyard. As she put it, the debate felt more like sibling brothers sparring and not listening to their mother's pleas to stop. Fox's Chris Wallace served as the debate's moderator, facing what turned out to be an impossible battle to keep the debaters on task and the proceedings orderly. Perhaps the debate organizers might want to think about hiring Super Nanny for round 2.
This is about if I make enough of a fuss, you might just go back to this.
Other people think comic and podcaster Joe Rogan should step in, since he'd at least be able to provide some interesting color commentary if the next debate turns into a cage match. As we gear up for the next debate, let's take a look at just what was going on at that first matchup, underneath the surface behind all the yelling.
The new
question
Supreme
is,
Court Justice,
the
radical
question-
left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
Throughout the debate, Trump just talked over Biden whenever he felt like it. This verbal bulldozing, Moore says, displayed that he did not care about what Biden had to say at all. She also points out, it was clear from Trump's body language that he wasn't so much listening to what Biden had to say as gearing up rebuttals as fast as he could. Moore also observed, Trump's face appeared pinched most of the debate, suggesting agitation and that he was permanently locked into attack mode. At the point in the debate where Biden was attempting to present his plans for the economy, Trump was seen to throw his hand in the air in a dismissive shooing away motion, one that Moore compares to a gesture we tend to use to mean whatever. She says the hand gesture makes it plain that Trump thinks anything Biden has to say about the economy is absolute garbage and doesn't even want to take his words in. There was one instance when Trump was responding to the moderator's question about his campaign rally events continuing during the pandemic and social distancing protocols. There was a moment when Biden appeared to want to interject something, but Trump blew him off dismissively.
President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together. Biden, you are holding much smaller events with
Nobody will show up.
people with
Rather than becoming angry or hurt by this, instead, Biden broke out laughing. He was prompted to laughter once more when Trump claimed to be okay with wearing face masks. According to Moore's analysis, outright laughing when someone else is speaking is a very clear body language signal that implies you have no respect for what they have to say. It's safe to say from Biden's body language that he finds everything Trump says to be so ridiculous, it's not even worth listening. It wasn't all grins and giggles for Biden, though. While his stance was more relaxed than Trump's throughout most of the debate, Moore notes that Biden's body language did show his frustration building toward the middle and end of the debate. At times during the debate, Biden even closed his eyes for a few seconds while appearing to sigh, an indication that the constant fighting and provocations were exhausting him. Moore says, it appeared as if he felt at times physically pained by the words that were coming out of Donald Trump's mouth. There was one striking difference between the candidates' form of address during the debate. While Moore observed that during all of the verbal sparring the candidates tended to face towards each other, their body language when they were facing away was particularly revealing. She says, in many moments during the debate, Biden physically turned his body away from Trump and spoke directly into the camera, addressing the American people. Biden's body language seemed to indicate that his interest during the debate was more in establishing a relationship with the American people than relating with Donald Trump. Trump, on the other hand, conveyed a completely different message. He could either be seen turning and gesturing toward Biden or else turning his head to the other side. While Moore interprets Biden's style of addressing the camera as indicating that he is trying to talk to the American people, Trump instead prefers to point a finger at Biden in a literal sense. One takeaway from this first debate that will surprise absolutely nobody is that, as Moore says, they both think the other person is an idiot. Not only were there verbal insults on both sides, with Biden calling Trump a clown and the worst president America has ever had, and Trump saying to Biden, "There's nothing smart about you," but their body language was also sending the same message loud and clear. More remarks. They hardly looked at each other during the debate, and when they did, it was either with anger or with a laugh. Whatever happens in round 2, it's safe to assume the candidates won't be linking arms, singing Kumbaya, and agreeing to collaborate on a plan for world peace. At this point, it would be less surprising to see Trump's old pal Vince McMahon come out and announce that falls count anywhere, at which point Biden skips the small talk and tries to slam Trump through the announcer's table. Would it be pretty? No. Informative? Absolutely not. But entertaining? At least there's a high probability of that. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about the latest hot topics are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.